All right, so get this. We're about to like rewind the clock way back
Yeah.
um, to a time when Europe was a totally different scene.
Yeah.
Like 44,000 to 40,000 years ago.
Wow.
We're talking about the shift from the middle to the Upper Paleolithic,
Yeah.
which is like a fancy way of saying a major cultural and technological shakeup.
Yeah. The really interesting part is that this time period kind of overlaps with the disappearance of Neanderthals and the emergence of Homo sapiens,
Oh, wow.
our own species. It's this puzzle that has kept archaeologists, digging for answers for a long time.
It's like a real-life whodunit, right?
It really is.
And to add to the mystery, we've got these two different tool-making styles popping up.
Yeah.
The Châtelperronian and the Uluzzian. For years, they were kind of lumped together as like transitional,
Right.
suggesting they were part of a single blended evolution.
Mm-hmm.
But a new study is saying, hold on, not so fast.
Yeah.
They might be more distinct than we initially thought.
That's right. This study was published in the Journal of Paleolithic Archaeology, and it did something really unique. For the first time, researchers directly compared tools from these two industries side by side.
What's so groundbreaking about examining them together?
What?
Was it like comparing apples and oranges before?
You could say that. Past research often focused on each industry separately, using different terms and methods. It was difficult to get a clear picture of how they truly measured up against each other.
So this side-by-side comparison was like finally putting all the puzzle pieces together.
Exactly. By examining artifacts from both traditions head-to-head, researchers uncovered some subtle but really important differences in how these tools were made.
Oh, wow.
It turns out that the Châtelperronian, the style mainly attributed to Neanderthals, was all about this technique called freehand direct percussion. Imagine a skilled craftsperson carefully chipping away at a stone core to shape those long, thin blades.
Ah, so it was a bit like a prehistoric sculptor, meticulously shaping the stone to create these tools. That takes some serious skill.
Absolutely. And then you have the Uluzzian, often linked to early Homo sapiens. They relied heavily on bipolar percussion, which is a different approach altogether. Picture this. You've got a rock placed on a solid base, like an anvil, and you're striking it from above, breaking it into smaller, flake-like tools.
Two completely different approaches.
Yeah.
Does this throw a wrench into the idea that these industries were part of a shared evolution, as if one was learning from the other?
It certainly complicates things. What's so fascinating is that it suggests the shift to the Upper Paleolithic wasn't a straightforward one-size-fits-all process.
Yeah.
Instead, we're seeing diverse human groups coming up with their own unique solutions to thrive.
Okay, so we've got these two distinct tool-making traditions, but what about the tool makers themselves? Who's actually crafting these tools? Things tend to get a little fuzzy when you're dealing with tens of thousands of years ago.
You're not wrong there. There's still debate surrounding the exact identity of the tool makers. Traditionally, the Châtelperronian has been connected to Neanderthals, mainly because of skeletal remains found at places like Saussure in France.
So, pretty solid link.
Seemingly so. However, a recent discovery has added a new layer of intrigue to the story. Researchers found a Homo sapiens infant's pelvic fragment at Grotte de Rennes, a key Châtelperronian site.
Whoa, a Homo sapiens baby at a Neanderthal site. That changes things, doesn't it? Does this mean we need to rethink the whole Neanderthal-Châtelperronian connection?
It definitely throws a curveball. To be clear, this finding doesn't completely overturn the existing evidence linking the Châtelperronian to Neanderthals, but it does raise some important questions about the potential presence of early Homo sapiens at these sites, maybe earlier than we previously thought.
So we're left with a bit of a cliffhanger. Did early Homo sapiens have a hand in shaping the Châtelperronian, or is this discovery just a coincidence?
That's the million-dollar question, and it's one that researchers are actively investigating. But even with this new piece of the puzzle, it's crucial to remember that the Châtelperronian exhibits distinct features that set it apart from other tool industries of the time.
It's fascinating to consider all the possibilities. What about the Uluzzian? Is there any debate about who was making those tools?
The Uluzzian has long been associated with modern humans, and the evidence for that connection is pretty solid. For instance, Homo sapiens teeth were discovered in Uluzzian layers at Grotta del Cavallo in Italy.
So, teeth can tell us who was making the tools. That's pretty cool. But how can we be sure those teeth belong to Homo sapiens and not another species?
Great question. Researchers use something called morphometric analysis, which is basically a way of measuring and comparing the shapes of teeth.
Okay.
And this analysis confirmed that those teeth were indeed from Homo sapiens, strengthening the link between this industry and our early ancestors.
It's remarkable that we can gather so much information from something as small as a tooth. But let's zoom out a bit. We've got Neanderthals potentially making Châtelperronian tools and Homo sapiens making Uluzzian tools, all in a relatively similar region. Does that mean they were completely ignoring each other?
It's a question that sparks a lot of debate. The existence of these distinct traditions suggests there might have been limited interaction,
Okay.
maybe due to geographical boundaries, different ways of adapting to the environment, or even intentional avoidance.
So it's possible they were leading completely separate lives, like two ships passing in the night.
That's one possibility. But it's important to remember that just because we haven't found clear-cut proof of cultural exchange doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Right.
It's possible that there were subtle influences or occasional interactions that simply haven't been preserved in the archaeological record.
So we could still stumble upon evidence of a prehistoric cultural exchange program. Maybe a Neanderthal trying their hand at making a Uluzzian tool or vice versa.
Wouldn't that be amazing? It's certainly not out of the realm of possibility, but even if we don't find direct evidence of them sharing tool-making techniques, there are other ways to explore potential interactions.
Okay.
For example, analyzing the raw materials used for the tools could tell us if they were getting their stone from the same sources, indicating potential overlap in their territories.
Like a prehistoric supply chain.
Exactly. Or we might find evidence of symbolic objects or artistic expressions that hint at shared cultural ideas or beliefs. Remember, interaction isn't always about practical skills. It can also be about exchanging abstract concepts and symbolic meanings.
I'm already picturing a Neanderthal and a Homo sapiens swapping cave paintings,
Right.
sharing stories around a fire.
Who knows, maybe we'll find evidence of a prehistoric art exhibition someday. But even if we don't, this study has opened up a whole new set of questions and avenues for research.
It feels like we've just scratched the surface of understanding this complex period in human prehistory. We've got these two fascinating tool industries, each with its own unique characteristics, and then the big question of how their creators interacted, if at all.
It's like we've zoomed in on a specific moment in time, a moment when different human groups were forging their own paths, creating their own solutions, and leaving behind these incredible traces of their existence.
And speaking of those traces, let's take a closer look at the tools themselves. The study goes into quite a bit of detail about the specific features that distinguish Châtelperronian and Uluzzian tools.
Let's do it. It's in those details that we can truly appreciate the ingenuity and skill of these prehistoric tool makers.
All right, imagine we're in the lab with the researchers examining these artifacts side by side. What are some of the key things that stand out? What are the telltale signs that we're dealing with two separate traditions?
Well, as we mentioned before, the Châtelperronian tools were primarily blades, long and slender, created using that freehand direct percussion technique. They were versatile, efficient, and expertly crafted, kind of like the prehistoric equivalent of a Swiss Army knife. We see variations in blade size and shape, suggesting they were used for a wide range of tasks, from processing animal hides to shaping wood.
So these weren't just rudimentary tools for survival. They were carefully designed and crafted for specific purposes.
Exactly. And the researchers even found evidence of retouching on the blades. Basically, the edges were carefully resharpened to maintain their effectiveness.
Like a prehistoric sharpening stone, it really shows a level of intentionality and care in their tool-making process.
And then we have the Uluzzian tools. While they were smaller than the Châtelperronian blades, they were no less impressive. The researchers noticed a high frequency of scalene triangles among the Uluzzian flakes. Now, a scalene triangle is a triangle where all three sides are different lengths.
Okay, I vaguely remember that from geometry class, but why is that significant in terms of tool making?
Well, the prevalence of these scalene triangle shapes in Uluzzian tools suggests a deliberate intentionality in their production. They weren't just randomly chipping away at rocks. They were shaping these flakes with a specific design in mind. This speaks volumes about their cognitive abilities and planning skills.
So even though the Uluzzian tools were smaller, they were still crafted with precision and skill.
Absolutely. And the researchers believe these scalene triangles might have been particularly suited for tasks like scraping hides or working with wood. They also found microscopic wear patterns on the edges of these flakes, indicating they were used for a variety of cutting and scraping activities.
It's amazing how much we can learn from these tiny pieces of stone. Like peering through a window into the lives of these ancient humans.
It really is. It's a testament to their ingenuity and resourcefulness. They were masters of their craft, able to adapt their tools to the specific needs of their environments and lifestyles.
Now, we've talked about blades and flakes, but there's another type of tool that was found in both industries. Backed tools. Can you tell us about those?
You got it. Backed tools are essentially tools with one edge blunted or backed by retouching, which allows them to be hafted or attached to a handle.
Ah, so like the prehistoric equivalent of a knife handle or a spear shaft.
Exactly. And here's where things get even more intriguing. The researchers found that the Châtelperronian backed tools were predominantly made on blades, while the Uluzzian backed tools were primarily made on flakes.
So even though both groups were making back tools, they were using different base materials and techniques to do so.
That's right. This further supports the idea that we're dealing with two separate traditions, each with its own unique set of skills and knowledge.
It's like two chefs creating the same dish, but using different ingredients and cooking methods. The end result might look similar, but the process and the flavors are distinct.
I like that analogy. It emphasizes that we need to look beyond the final product and really delve into the techniques and processes behind the tool making.
It's all about appreciating the craftsmanship and the cultural knowledge that went into creating these tools.
Precisely. And it's this attention to detail that allows us to unravel the complexities of human evolution and appreciate the incredible diversity of our ancestors.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've explored two distinct tool industries, the Châtelperronian and the Uluzzian, each with unique characteristics and techniques.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the bigger picture.
Okay.
What do these findings tell us about human evolution as a whole?
It's a great question. And I think one of the most important takeaways is that we need to move beyond simplistic narratives of one group being like more advanced than another. The Châtelperronian and Uluzzian industries clearly show that different human groups were independently capable of developing sophisticated and complex technologies.
It's like we're shattering that old image of a single ladder of human progress where one group is always ahead of the others.
Yeah.
Instead, we're seeing a more intricate web of development where different groups are innovating and adapting in their own unique ways.
Precisely. And it challenges us to rethink our assumptions about Homo sapiens being inherently superior.
Yeah.
The fact that Neanderthals were creating these elaborate tools using distinct techniques suggests they were just as capable and resourceful.
It makes you wonder if we've been underestimating Neanderthals for far too long.
It's certainly a possibility. This study really emphasizes the importance of approaching the archaeological record with an open mind,
Right.
always questioning our assumptions and being ready to revise our understanding as new evidence emerges.
It's a good reminder that our understanding of history is always evolving. What else can we take away from this research, especially in terms of how we interpret these ancient cultures?
I think this study highlights the importance of embracing the diversity of human evolution. It's not about one group being better than another. It's about appreciating the wide range of adaptations and solutions that different human populations developed over time.
It's a much more inclusive and nuanced way of looking at our past, isn't it?
Yeah,
And it makes the story of human evolution all the more fascinating.
absolutely. This research also raises some compelling questions about how different human groups interacted. Did the Châtelperronian and Uluzzian traditions develop in complete isolation from each other? Or was there some level of exchange, even if it was subtle or indirect?
It's like having this giant jigsaw puzzle of human history.
Yeah.
And we've just discovered a brand new section that we didn't even know existed before.
And as we continue to explore and excavate, we're bound to find even more pieces that challenge our assumptions and reshape our understanding of the past.
That's the beauty of archaeology, isn't it? It's a continuous journey of discovery, a constant process of uncovering new insights and reinterpreting what we thought we knew.
And as we move forward in our exploration of human history, I think it's crucial to keep the findings of this study in mind. Let's embrace the complexity and diversity of human evolution, acknowledge the ingenuity of all our ancestors, and approach the archaeological record with curiosity and an open mind.
I think that's a great place to wrap up this deep dive. It's been a fascinating journey back in time, exploring the world of prehistoric toolmaking and reconsidering our assumptions about human evolution. But the exploration doesn't end here.
Exactly. I'd encourage everyone listening to keep digging deeper into this topic, seeking out new research, and pondering the mysteries of our shared past. Who knows what other groundbreaking discoveries await us?
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep that spirit of discovery alive.